Hello, everybody. Welcome again to the Recruit University Success Series. I have the honor and pleasure of having Miss Laura Shriver-Brown on the call tonight. Laura, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi. So I absolutely love education. I have my master's degree in secondary education with a focus on history. I taught middle school and high school for several years, and I ended up getting into the private sector. There were some things about education that did not sit well with me. And I loved the parents, I loved the students. There's just a lot of pieces in our system that are very broken. And so I chose a private path where I have a little bit more freedom. And I've been an entrepreneur since I was very young. I started my first business when I was 19 years old. I had 10 employees, and that's how I put myself through college. And I still keep in touch with a lot of them to this very day. And yeah, I love working for myself. I love helping other people learn how to work for themselves. And frankly, when it comes to college, I don't know that everyone should go to college. And that's not a bad thing. I think a lot of students should. I did. I'm certainly talking to my children about it. But if they want to become an entrepreneur, I'm very happy to craft them something to help them, learn their space and what they want to do. If they want to learn a trade or something like that, I know a lot of electricians, a lot of plumbers, a lot of journeymen, painters that are making multiple six figures a year. And I really just don't feel good about how kids are pushed and felt this enormous amount of pressure, sometimes at the age of 17, like, what do you want to do the rest of your life? It's like a lot of pressure. I was very fortunate that I've known since I was literally three that I was supposed to be a teacher, and I'm so grateful for that. But just to kind of put it all together, I really want to stand for kids. It's been in my heart my entire life. And I really feel like the biggest blessing that has come to me is the 24 years of personal development I've done under Tony Robbins, John Maxwell, Jamie Kern Lima, Mel Robbins, Dean Graziosi. I can go on and on. And so what I'm doing is I've taken all of that I've learned over the past 2.5 decades and hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I'm literally pouring it into kids and young people. And I'm loving it, and that's why I reached out to you. I love what you're doing.
Well,
It's really exciting to meet other like-minded people.
glad that you mentioned that. It was nice to meet you too. The way we connected is because, as you guys know, that are watching, I'm the director and founder of Recruit University, where we're helping high school student athletes get transition into college. But the biggest thing about what I do is the mentoring part, the personal development, right, for the student athletes, because, like you said, kids are just forced out there and trying to figure it out. And I was one of those kids that was forced out there and trying to figure it out. The high school doesn't care about you after you leave. You're just a number. And you can't figure it out on your own. So you fall on your face and realize, okay, that didn't work. I actually need to try something else. And like you said, there's so many other things that you can do to make money. College is not the only route, but it is a route. And instead of wasting years and a lot of money um,
Yeah.
going the wrong direction, it's good to have somebody like you help them go in the direction they should be going into. Now, how would you help somebody figure out what they want to do?
So I have a course called Gap Academy,
Okay.
and that's for high school students and middle school students and young people in their 20s. And we spend a good about 30% of the time just helping them get to know themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really more guiding, and we go very, very deep. It's not just like your average personality test that you take. We take multiple different tests,
Mm-hmm.
but we focus on, okay, who are you at your core? And more importantly, flip it around and not just learn about yourself, but the people in your life, how to improve your communication, how to improve the communication. We all have a voice in our head, right?
Yep.
How to improve the communication with yourself. Really choosing your words carefully, because people can be very careless with their words, and words are extremely powerful. especially the words we say to ourselves and we think to ourselves. So we spend a lot of time on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we transition into, okay, now that you know yourselves more, what are some things that you would like to do? And we connect them to people. We try to get them internships. We definitely at least get them on the phone with someone in that space so they can really see, like, is this something I genuinely want to do? I wish I had that opportunity because I thought being a teacher was going to be amazing. And I really found out quickly, and I respect teachers. And it's not that I didn't love the job, but there's a lot, there's bureaucracy to it. There's a lot of politics. There's just things that don't suit my personality that I just couldn't, so just having real conversations, not this fluffy crap, and everyone puts on a mask and this is no, like a real conversation. What's the underbelly of this? Because you really need to know the worst, right? It's just like a relationship. If you think about your career or your business, you're going to spend the majority of your life doing that, right? And so you should know the underbelly. You need to ask those kinds of questions. So we spend a lot of time doing that and looking at the underbelly of ourselves, because there is no perfect personality, and we call it opposites attack and opposites attract.
Mm-hmm.
And probably the biggest and most important thing in people's lives are relationships, the
Yeah.
relationship with themselves, with their parents, with their significant other. Traditional school does not spend enough time on this. And frankly, if your relationships aren't okay, you're not going to be able to focus no matter what you're doing because it's such a big part of your life. So we teach them, how are you when your personality is on the dark side? Because
Mm-hmm.
we all have it, right? I'm
Yep.
very nurturing. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm very, very high nurturing person, but I have a side to me where if I feel wronged, I'm going to come at you, and I've had to learn how to not undo that, but be careful on how I'm expressing that. Right. And so and every different kind of personality has a different underbelly. People that are very high knowledge and they really and they are super smart and they put a lot of value on that. They can be very condescending. They can really turn their emotions off. So we really, really go into that very deeply, because if you don't have the relationship with yourself under control and the relationships with other people, not under control, but in a healthy space,
Mm-hmm.
then whatever you choose to do, it's not going to work. Relationships, it's the number one thing in your life, especially the one with yourself. So we spend a lot of time doing that too.
Awesome.
And then we have oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No.
So, and then we have an actual, now that's for the younger ones and
Uh-huh.
also for people in their 20s who don't have time to take a gap year. But really what I promote is Gap University. And all over the world, this is very common where people take a gap year off. And people think you have to be rich to do this, and you absolutely do not. Look what we're doing right now. We met, we connected immediately.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as good as in person, but it's really darn close. you know
Yep.
so you can do a lot. You don't have to be rich to do a gap year. And I really, really promote that, because getting to know yourself is so important before you jump into anything. And you're still getting to know yourself up until really, I think, your whole life. But until you're 25, your brain is still physiologically developing.
Mm-hmm.
So just giving kids the tools to look at themselves in a reflective, healthy way and
Mm-hmm.
just check themselves, like, okay, what is happening here? Take a breath, take a pause. Mel Robbins promotes that 5 4 3 2 1.
Right.
Just really, be much more self-aware, so your eyes wide open into the career or business or trade that you're going to go into.
Right. Now you talk about gap year. From what I've learned is that they become what they're exposed to, right? So let's
Yes.
say you take a gap year. What are you exposing the student to help them determine, okay, this is not for me, this may be for me, I might be interested in that. What do they do during that gap
Yeah. So, number one is they're with kids from all over the world.
year? Oh, okay.
Number one.
Okay.
And people kind of down like screen time and gaming, but
Hmm.
it's actually really cool. Like, especially like Discord. I mean, you can really connect, and kids can really connect with other kids from all over the world. So,
Hmm.
what I think that's number one is not just playing a game, which I love to play. I think adults don't play enough personally. But playing is a great way to connect, but really having them talk to people from other places in the world because we are in a global, I mean, it is not like when we grew up,
Yeah,
it's very much, you
we're
know,
connected.
yes. And,
Hmm.
and they not only do they have access, but there's almost over information,
Hmm.
too much information, especially with AI too. Sometimes
Hmm.
it's hard to know what's even real. So it's number one, really exposing themselves to the world and other kids from all over the world. Number two is really taking some time to think about, okay, because we do one in-person trip, so we will do that in person together where we do an in person course. And then we encourage them, it's not mandatory, but we do encourage them to go somewhere else in the world. And it can be somewhere else in the country. We have most of our students are from the United States, but we do have students from other countries. And we encourage them to either maybe swap homes, all
Oh, wow.
right? Or, because that's an affordable way to do it.
Hmm.
So we encourage that for those that don't have a ton of money to spend, or we encourage them to plan a trip, but really research the area. Like, is this something where I could see myself doing business? Is this a place where I can hire people? Virtual assistants, and a lot of people, in India particularly, you can find high quality people that love getting opportunities to build websites and do things of that nature. So, just having them think like that, like where is your future possibly going and what would be strategically a good place to go? And also what's fun? Like it's just like everything is so, I'm telling you, so many schools put so much pressure, especially you do athletes, right?
Right.
There's so much pressure, and adults do this too. You have to play. You have to have fun. It's life is too short to take everything so seriously. So
Hmm.
we also make a lot of time for that. We play a lot of games, but also like, where do you want to visit? And just turn your phone off for 3 days and meditate and walk and just be, because that's another thing is overstimulation. So we do a lot of self-care, and teaching them how to do that too.
Wow. So yeah, I like what you're doing. For me, what I try to teach my students. So that's the thing. Like you said, you mentioned athletes. The difference between what I do and what a lot of other companies do is they're just all athletes, all athletics, all sports. That's it. But where you and I are a lot alike, you have the personal development background. So do I. I follow Eric Thomas. I was a part of his program. Um, you follow Mel Robbins and Tony Robbins and the such. I try to reverse engineer. Let's see the end first and then work our way backwards because I think a lot of people just do what's next? What's next? What do I do now? If you know where the end is and work yourself backwards, so you can kind of figure out the steps to get to that point. And you can figure, okay, well, or maybe my goal's a little bit too high, or maybe my job is a little bit too low, and let's just make them meet in the middle somewhere. I mean, it's up to you what you want to do. If you want to take those road bumps. If you look at the adversity, do you want to overcome those things? Do you think you can do it? Or if you think it's too hard? All of that is stuff that you have to consider. If you're, reverse engineering and working backwards, then
Hmm.
you can be in control. Um, I love it.
Absolutely.
I love the mentorship part. It's the biggest part because I tell
Yes.
parents all the time. And the thing sometimes, like you said, we need to play, right? Parents forget that they used to be kids too. I don't understand that part. Maybe it's because, I've been an educator and I never really left school. I've always been a part of school somewhere.
Yeah.
But I have friends, I have family members, they forget what they were like when they went to school. I don't understand.
Well, even worse, like how much fun are they having
Yeah.
now?
Hmm.
Like, when I go to my kids' birthday parties, I wore a sports bra. I put my I put my leggings on. I'm jumping around with them. Like I'm prepared to have fun. You have to. I mean, even just laughing and
Hmm.
having like real connection with somebody. I love the movie Bad Moms. Just, you don't have to be so uptight. Like life is so beautiful if you open yourself up. Now, mind you, like you do need to be responsible, but
Sure.
I think and I think this is what people miss. I think part of being responsible is taking off your responsibilities for a second. Like
What do you mean
just
by that?
just like when I have a babysitter for my kids,
Hmm.
I'm not out thinking about my kids. Especially moms, they do
Right.
that.
Take a break.
Just they're going to be okay.
Hmm.
You don't have to call, you don't have to text, you don't have to worry. Your responsibility is taken care of. They're safe, they're fed, they're probably sleeping. Go have fun.
Yeah.
Go enjoy yourself. Fill up your cup,
Hmm.
right? So
With
then you
whatever
can
you want to
go
fill it
back.
up with.
Yeah. I love that. Yes. And I just have to say something because so I'm doing a mini course this winter. It's only 8 days long, and
Hmm.
it's called 2026 was the best year ever.
Hmm.
And I'm hoping that people think it's a typo, to
Right.
get attention,
I love
but
it.
I totally reverse engineer everything. Like, I don't know if you could see, I probably should have put on a better background, but that's my vision board back
Okay.
there.
I love it.
I actually have a bunch of them.
Awesome. I got mine
Uh,
on the fridge.
yeah, so I have them everywhere. So, but yeah, I love that concept of reverse engineering, and that's what we're doing in December, during because all the kids are on winter break. So
Hmm.
we're doing 2026 was the best year ever,
I love it.
and I'm really excited. It's the first time I'm doing it. I've done it
Hmm.
for myself with Tony Robbins for a decade, but it's the
Yeah.
first time I'm doing it with my kids, and I can't wait.
That's exciting. That's very, very good news. Yeah, the transition from high school to college, to me, I want to get your opinion on it, is probably the most important and challenging part of a human life. If I look back at it, like look at the resources that I have, look at the connections that I have or don't have, um, you only can see how far you've been. You only can see where you have gone. You don't know what's out there. And then all of a sudden, you get thrown into this big deep ocean called the world, and you're not ready. Like
Yeah,
we talked last week, we're going to get into it here. When you go to school, you're taking whatever the government says you need to take.
yeah,
Now, a lot of that stuff is not going to prepare you for life. You can memorize all the facts, all the dates, the Pythagorean theorem. I've never used it since geography class. I know it's a squared plus b squared equals c squared, but that has never made me any money. Never helped me pay a bill. That's tough. So, what we're doing is very important. So, the parents out there who are watching this, you have to understand it's very important part of their life. So, I have a Facebook group, and that's probably how we connected in our Facebook group for college
yep,
recruiting advice for parents of high school student athletes. And in that Facebook group, several times people will say, "Oh, the kids need to figure it out on their own. They need to do it on their own." They have never made a multi-million-dollar decision, and you're expecting them. So the analogy I use is like a vehicle. So college is like $100,000 car, okay?
yeah.
Because you're gonna spend about that at least for college. Would you put your kid in $100,000 car and just let them go and drive it? Probably not. So why would you let them make this decision on their own? You got to help them. It's their decision, yes, but you got to be there to help them along the way.
Absolutely. And it can be overwhelming.
It is.
The thing, we can speak in generalities about age, and, you know, what's scary to me, and that's why a big part of my course is covering the wellness wheel,
Hmm.
emotional health, mental health, sexual health,
Hmm.
financial health, emotional health, environmental health, spiritual health. We cover all of it. And we
Yes.
have experts come in. It's scary because the kids that seem like they're fine and
Hmm.
you can let them figure it out, sometimes they're not fine.
Hmm.
And letting them do it on their own can feel even more isolating. So I would just be careful, be very, very careful if there's any parents listening to this. I feel like there's a happy medium, right? That's usually how polarity is. Usually you meet somewhere in the middle. You don't have to hold their hand because then you're still treating them like a baby.
Right.
But, you know, maybe checking in, and instead of saying, "How are you?" And I got this from Matthew McConaughey, who is also, if you don't know, Matthew McConaughey is absolutely amazing. He is not
Hmm.
just an actor. That man is incredible.
Hmm.
But what he says is, what is it like to be a senior in high school these days? Instead of saying, how are you? You're
Mm.
turning it into a third party. Like,
Mm.
what's it like being a teenager these days? What is it like for high school kids to look into college? Ask them questions like that, because of course they're going to tell you about their own experience, but the pressure isn't on. And
Mm.
it just is really scary, because emotional mental health, it can start rearing, 18 to 25 ish is kind of when that, some of the serious stuff comes out. And there's a lot of not so serious stuff that can turn into serious stuff. So you
Right.
really do have to have those conversations and be careful how much you're putting on your child, because it can be very overwhelming. And some people, like myself, I have always been an overachiever, and my parents just weren't healthy enough to even help me.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured it out on my own. And people like me get, we fall in the cracks because people, oh, well, she's such an achiever and she's doing that. That's also not healthy.
Right.
That's really
Pressure.
not healthy. If you have straight A's and, you're captain, I was captain of the volleyball team and first chair saxophonist, and I had a full-time job and I was doing all these things, and I was fun, and, I didn't have two of these. I only had one back then. I was really cute, and so people are like, oh, she has it all. You got to
Mm-hmm.
work, you got to really watch those ones,
Yeah.
because they're emotionally, a lot of times, they're functioning in survival mode.
Mm.
And when you're functioning in survival mode, you can crash, and that's really scary. So I would just say, for those parents who really are kind of letting their kids do it, that's fine. I'm not telling you how to be a parent. I'm just throwing out a suggestion to at least check in.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't check in like, how are you? I would keep it, I would ask specific questions, and maybe even keep it third party, so it's easier for them to open up if it's not okay.
Right. Yeah. Emotional health is huge in mental health. There's a thing called college depression. You know, kids are, committing suicide because of pressure.
Yeah.
Um, it's a real thing. So you go from you're at home, mom and dad are constantly on top of you, making sure you're getting your work done. Again, you said it. You're getting straight A's, you're captain of the volleyball team, first chair, all those things.
Yeah.
And then you get somewhere in college where and I had another friend who was just like that, actually. This is the way you described. She got to college and it's 300 people in the classroom, competition is there. She struggled because she came from a small town. You had a smaller classroom size, you had the attention, and she did great here. But then when she got to the bigger school, she stalled. She wasn't getting the attention that she needed from the college professor. She got to talk to the TA, but not the actual professor. And that's a culture shock, right?
Yeah.
Just jump right in. Like you're just thrown to the wolves. You just figure it's like being a bird, and the bird just mom throws the little bird out the nest and here go fly. It's a big deal, and I just want parents to understand it's a big deal. And the kids don't have it figured out. Even the parents don't have it figured out. And
Yeah.
what you're doing is really, really great. It's really phenomenal. I think they need to teach personal development in schools and add some of this because I've taught myself a lot through different programs, different
Yeah.
books. When I go to Barnes and Nobles, I'm in the self development section. People, there's nothing wrong with personal growth and self development. I have a friend of mine who I try to put onto the game, and he's like, "Oh, ain't nothing wrong with me. That self help. That's not for me. That's not for me. What about it is not for you? It's not. Everybody can afford to move up." And another thing, I love analogies and metaphors. I've used one with the phone, right? We upgrade our phone. People upgrade their phone almost every single year. But when's the last time you upgraded your mind, right? You got to download new information and you got to install it and apply it to be successful in life. It's a lot of people out here running around with a 2001 mindset, and it's the year 2025. Like your car has upgraded several times, and you're still thinking like you were in high school, the same old person, right? You're
Yeah.
never going to get ahead being the same person that you are right now, this
Yeah.
day. Okay, the same person you are today, you should be somebody else tomorrow. You constantly have to evolve,
Yep.
right? And you're gonna have life pass you by. So having a program like what you have, program like what I have, it's just like a perfect harmony. So I highly suggest people just really look into non-traditional routes to be
Yeah.
successful. What do you think?
I absolutely agree. And the thing is, everything, there's no like one size fits all.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like true education really should be mentorship in very
Mm-hmm.
small groups, like five.
Okay.
you know,
Hmm.
because there is no standardized test. They're doing the best they can. I get that. I'm not downing our government in that way. It's just human beings need that one-on-one because you cannot just put somebody in a bubble. There's so many different facets. Your family, your culture, the generation you grew up in,
Hmm.
where are you from? Even your nutrition, how much rest are you getting? What's your first language? There's just, besides your intellect and where you fall on the wellness wheel, there's just so many moving pieces to a child and a young adult. To your point, Jamie Kern Lima is one of my favorite mentors, and she's known for being a Denny's waitress and turned billionaire with a
Hmm.
B. And she wrote this book called Worthy, which I recommend to everybody. And what she talks about is everyone is perfect just as they are. That is what the universe intended. So personal development is not about fixing something that's wrong.
Right.
It's literally what I love your analogy. If you don't change the oil in your car, you don't, you know, get your transmission flushed out and you're not doing those things, it's not the car that's wrong. There's nothing wrong with the car. It's just the pieces you need to take care of yourself.
Hmm.
It's not about I have something wrong with me. It's genuinely taking a look, and that's what we do with our kids is we take a look at how are you doing financially? How are you doing emotionally? How are you doing sexually? I mean, these are conversations that are sometimes uncomfortable for parents to have,
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
open up their finances to their kids or to open up sexually to their kids, but
Hmm.
they need that. They're about to go to college or go get their own apartment. If you think that they're not going to be dating,
Yep. Yep.
like wake up,
You're
right?
gonna come back with
So
grandkids.
yes. And it's not even just about safe sex. It's like,
Hmm.
what is intimacy?
Hmm.
What is, how to be vulnerable? How do you choose a good partner? And a
Yes.
lot of people don't understand, like, you're attracting things. Or you're repelling things. And that's
Hmm.
why working on yourself is so important because we all have blind spots. Tony Robbins himself has coaches.
Hmm.
I mean, smart people, influential people have coaches.
Hmm.
So personal development is not saying you're wrong, it's saying you're human and you are genuinely taking care of yourself so you can get to that next level. Because the problem is, and they're teenagers when it starts, is this lesson, if you don't learn the lesson, whether it's a relationship, financial, whatever, the universe is going to keep making you learn that same lesson
Yep.
over and over and over again. Like, why do I keep dating these same guys? Why does this
Hmm.
keep happening to me? Guess what?
You haven't
Look
learned the
in the
lesson.
mirror, you learn the lesson so you
Yeah.
can move on.
Hmm.
And so being around intelligent people who are credible, and have good information, like you said, to upgrade yourself, um there's no shame in that. In fact, that's highly intelligent.
Hmm.
And that's what I teach my kids. And then also something you said clicked something in me about Jamie Kern Lima. She talks about the difference between self-confidence and self-worth. And that goes back to those high school students that we're talking about that are applying for colleges, getting denied, dealing with their boyfriend, their first love, they just
Hmm.
broke up. Sometimes there's a lot going on. And if your child is, and I was one of them, who used achieving to feel good about myself.
Hmm.
I had self confidence. I can walk into any room and own it because I was very, very confident in my skills. When it came to just being, the
Hmm.
worthiness part, I didn't have it. And so you have to really be careful there, because then if your child gets denied that college they really wanted to go to, or they get broken up with and they're feeling unworthy, there that can spiral into suicidal thoughts
Hmm.
and isolation. So I we talk a lot about that too. And I love talking about Jamie's book Worthy, because truly just identifying the difference between self-confidence and self-worth, especially in teenagers, just
Yeah.
having that conversation with them is so important.
That's huge because thinking about myself, is I thought that I had to be with somebody, right? I didn't know I could be by myself and be happy. I
Yeah.
thought I needed to be with another person. And you can pick the right person or pick a person and it could change your whole life. It could, for the better or for the worse, turn your life upside down because you chose the wrong partner. Like it doesn't matter what school you went to, how good your grades went. Um, None of that matters. You pick the wrong person, and your life is turned completely upside down. What do you teach on the relationship stuff?
So it starts with communication. We also talk about abuse,
Hmm.
and abuse is like
Mental, emotional abuse as well.
mental, emotional,
Mhm.
physical, even sexual,
Okay. Hmm.
especially because, sometimes they start experimenting with
Hmm.
drinking or
Oh
whatever,
yeah. Oh yeah.
weed, that kind of
Day
stuff.
one.
I mean, listen, a lot of parents don't want to hear it though.
Yeah.
And that's the scary thing is ignorance doesn't mean that the world is still not happening. It just
Right.
means you're not listening.
Yeah.
Um, so we really go into that. We go into
Hmm.
that for starters, like safety, but then we dive deeper into, okay, if you're having a conflict, what's the best way to handle it? And by the way, I'm not on some high horse. I've been in therapy for 20 years. I
Hmm.
have a therapist that I see. My
Hmm.
husband and I see a therapist. So I'm not saying this because I think I know everything. I'm saying this because I've spent a lot of time and money investing in myself, and I'm just
There you go.
passing along what I've learned. But I'm a work in progress.
There you
Okay.
go. People do the
Like
same to
my
me. I preach to people and they be like, "Oh, he think he know everything." I just been through a lot.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
and plus, like, it's not like me and my husband have this perfect relationship where
Yeah.
every argument is okay and no, like
No.
sometimes I'm like, shut up.
Exactly. We just
I
been
don't
through a
want to.
lot, and we've been through a lot, and we know how to fix it.
Well, and I don't want kids. See, this is another thing too. A lot of parents are like, oh well, my kids never have seen us argue. I don't know if that's healthy because now they're going out in the world,
Yeah.
they're not prepared for challenges in their relationship.
Deep.
So we talk
Deep.
about that.
Yep.
And being vulnerable, like what
Hmm.
is the power of vulnerability, and have them be vulnerable with each other. It's really amazing when a human being tells another human being a really difficult story, how the walls just immediately come down.
Mm.
And also how you have to be careful on who you're vulnerable with, but you're really not living life if you have a mask on. So just teaching them like how to be as authentic as they possibly can, how to recognize if someone is not healthy. And you know what? Not everybody is for you. They can be
Hmm.
an amazing human being,
Right.
and maybe you even date them. If it doesn't work out, that doesn't mean there's some kind of jerk. There's a lesson in beauty in everything.
Absolutely. It
And
can end on good terms.
absolutely. I had three exes at my wedding.
Wow. I don't know if I could do that.
But no, it really comes down to like respect for yourself,
Mhm.
respect from them. And also, again, this is just because I struggled with this when I was younger, is setting boundaries
Mhm.
and how to
Yes.
clearly express them, because a lot of arguments can happen because especially women, we kind of sometimes assume that men just know. What do you mean you
Yeah.
don't know? No, like be very clear, be
Mhm.
very respectful and responsible with your words. So
Mhm.
we get into a lot of that.
Awesome. Clarity is key. Listen, we could talk for hours on this stuff because it's important.
Yeah.
It's probably the meat and potatoes of my program is the personal development, the mentoring. I talk to my student athletes on the phone every week. It's not regular. Just get out there and play sports, and I'm
Yeah.
coaching you on sports. We're coaching your mind and trying to prepare you for the real world, and making sure you're successful for real. Okay, not just getting grades and scoring touchdowns. Right? We want you to be successful. So before we go, tell us a little bit. How can you get involved with Gap University? How can we take this personality test?
So, first of all, I am still in the stages where I do give my personal my phone number out.
Okay.
So you can text or call me. It's 716-228-4482. I'm pulling up because I want to give a free gift to anybody who's watching. So the initial personality test, it's really wild how deep it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And that would also send me an email automatically so we can connect that way as well. So if
Okay.
you go to crackmycode.com
Mm-hmm.
slash Laura Brown, so that's crackmycode.com slash Laura Brown. That's the initial quick. It'll take less than 5 minutes. I'm telling you right now, if this is a parent watching, please have not only you do it, have your spouse do it and have your child do it. Because when you really see the personality and the dynamic of your family, guy, I've had parents call me crying saying, I have a relationship with my daughter I never ever thought I could have. And it literally came down to just simply understanding how they communicate. Like me, I'm high nurturing, right?
Mhm.
I have my flower, I'm using my hands, I'm a hugger. My son is not the most cuddly guy. We thought he was maybe autistic for a minute there. We weren't 100% sure. That's just his personality.
Right.
And so, he doesn't, so I could do something like, hey, we're going to Disney. And he would cry. And that's how some kids are. They need a plan. They need to know ahead of time. So
Mhm.
just, and I don't mean to, I'm just so passionate about this. So, but anyway, please, like if you take that personality test, please have your kids take it too. It's really lovely and life changing to really see how they communicate, and just small little tweaks in your own language can completely make your relationship and take it to the next level.
Yeah. Understanding each other, right? Understanding how to talk to each
Yes.
other, understanding expectations. It's not
Yes.
personal. It's
We say that.
personality. It's not personal. It's personality. That's got to
That's
be a church.
exactly right. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Laura, it's a pleasure having you. We're definitely going to do this again. This was fun.
I
Uh,
loved it.
yeah, I love having you on. We're going to connect and get you in touch with several of the parents in our program and our organization. So, Laura, you have a great night. We'll see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach K. You were
All right.
amazing.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.